Oh, it is. It is. Now, I'm not doing the Chewbacca yell to start the show because I got to tell you, and if anybody watched the episode that we had this past Thursday of 5 Rounds, my combat sports show with Frank Zaffrey and James Walker, if you watched that this past Thursday, I had like this much voice. Getting over a cold, had lost almost my entire voice. So the last thing I wanted to do for this episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network was start with that ridiculous Chewbacca yell that I do to start most episodes. Because if I did that, the voice would be officially gone for the next hour, my friends. Happy to be back in the saddle today. I took this past Friday off just to rest my voice and rest my body. And we are here, baby. We are here. The U is here. I had to get decked out in my University of Miami gear today. I had to get decked out because, my friends, the hatred and the fear that is now going around the country and going around the NCAA front offices and going into the offices of the athletic departments in SEC schools, Clemson, the bigger Big Ten schools. The fear is palpable. The hatred is palpable. And that is fuel for me, my friends. So we're going to talk a lot about the latest alleged witch hunt being concocted against the University of Miami. Hello to Big Dan, 305, by the way. And guys, I want to remind you of a few things, okay? Be like Big Dan. If you're watching us right now, go ahead and partake in the live chat. We send shout outs to everybody at the end of the show, and we'll read the good comments live when they come in. And yeah, you see that notifier down there. Smash the like button and subscribe to our 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. In fact, a few minutes ago, right when I was ready to get on the air, I was notified by our fearless leader, El Presidente, Ethan Skolnick, that the channel, 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel, is very close to 15,000 subscribers. So if you're watching us and you don't already subscribe, hit that subscribe button and get us to 15K, and hit that like button and help blast this episode out into the universe. Oh, my guy, Vish, a $10 donation. Thank you for the super chat, sure, sir. Had to support Donno for wearing that clothing and that hat. Bro, I'm busting out all the U gear that I was too embarrassed to wear during a 7-5 season. I'm busting it out again. I'm busting it out for Cristobal. I'm busting it out for Dan Ravakovich. We are doing it up big, my friends. And okay, we're going to talk a lot of Canes on this episode. We're also going to talk some Dolphins. What the hell's going on in that running back room? Omicron has taken that Miami Dolphins running back room. All the Dolphins running backs are vaccinated, but they still tested positive for COVID. We already knew heading into today, Salvon Ahmed and Myles Gaskin were on the COVID list. Philip Lindsay added to the COVID list today. So right now, now these guys are vaccinated, so the protocol's different. If they can produce, I think, 2 negative tests separated by 24 hours of one another by the deadline at the end of the week, they could play Sunday. But if they can't play Sunday, we might get a steady dose of the practice squad crew. Duke Johnson from the practice squad could be brought up. Jared Dokes, the 7th-round pick, could be brought up for the practice squad. And the Dolphins today were working out Lamar Miller. You remember him? Former running back from the U and from the Dolphins. Hasn't been the same since he suffered a knee injury a couple of years back, but Lamar Miller could be brought in. So we may have a new look, unfamiliar Miami Dolphins backfield this coming week when the Dolphins come off the bye week against the New York Jets. We're going to be talking Dolphins with Alfredo Arteaga from 3 yards per carry around 3:15 today. At 3:35 today, we're going to get some bets for the weekend from our friends from the dailystakes.com. Nick from the Daily Stakes is going to join us. We're going to dive deep on Heat Cavaliers tonight. Speaking of the COVID list, I mean, you had the COVID derby on Saturday between the Heat and the Chicago Bulls. Thankfully, it's still, fingers crossed, only Caleb Martin in the protocol right now. That game should have never been played this past weekend, if we're being honest here. But we're going to take a look at the Heat Cavs tonight in Cleveland. What a wonderful city that is, said nobody ever. And we're going to look into the Monday Night Football game tonight with Nick from the Daily Stakes. Before we get into all that, guys, I want to remind you, the official sports bar of Donno Daily. We are proudly served by the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Guys, this is such a great spot to eat some seafood, to knock down the 2-for-1 happy hour, which is all day, every day. And if you're not a seafood fan, guys, the burgers and sandwiches are ridiculously good. The pasta dishes, the baby back ribs are awesome. The key lime cheesecake is the best dessert on planet Earth. we are having a watch party. We're having a watch party at the Quarterdeck Davie location in a little over 48 hours. This coming Wednesday night, we're going to be at the Quarterdeck Davie watching Miami Heat basketball. And by the way, attendees can wind up winning $250 from ASX Sports. Excuse me. Told you guys I'm getting over a cold. So if I ever cough, don't be alarmed. Like, don't call, fire department or something if you hear me cough. It just comes with the territory. My kid brought me daycare germs last week. It is what it is. Wednesday night, we're going to be out at the Quarterdeck Davie. You're going to have an opportunity. If you show up, you might show up penniless and leave with $250 from ASX Sports. So make sure you check out the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Join us at the Davie location on Wednesday night. But if you want to check out one of their other locations, find the one nearest to you by visiting them on the web at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. You can also peep their menu at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. I promise you're going to find probably 10 things you want to eat off of that menu. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. And yeah, my friends, we are brought to you by the official sports book of Donno Daily, BetUS.com. I had a lot of fun betting UFC 269 over the weekend, betting the NFL slate at BetUS.com. First things first, yes, they are available in Florida. People ask me that all the time. Wait, can I use it in Florida? Yes, you can use it in Florida. Sign up today at BetUS.com. And not only can you use it in the great state of FLA, we also will give you the best bonus in the industry. All you have to do is type in my code at checkout. Type in my show code, 5RSN125, and they're going to give you a 100, I sound gross today. They're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus with our code 5RSN125. It is a full-service sports book, my friends. Bet sports, play in their casino, bet on the horses, pop culture props. It's like having Las Vegas in your pocket on your smartphone and, of course, on your computer. BetUS.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Brooklyn Rob writes in, welcome to Mush Monday, folks. Today, Josh Houts tweeted out this little graphic of Will Fuller. Remember him? I barely do. Will Fuller on a milk carton because, he's been out with a finger issue for like the entire season, basically. So him on the milk carton. And as our viewer David pointed out, because he and Brooklyn Rob, I call them the Mush Crew because they refer to me. They're the one who coined that. I think Brooklyn Rob was first, but David jumped. He took it and ran with it. He took that baton, ran with it. They refer to me as the Mush. And as David pointed out on Twitter, well, the reason why we haven't seen Will Fuller, who took the money, he signed his deal with a ski mask because the Dolphins are paying him all this cash for absolutely nothing. I mushed him. Because early in the season, I referred to Will Fuller as the secret weapon. I don't think he's played since. So that one's on me, my friends. But I'll tell you why I'm all decked out in University of Miami gear today and why I've got a pep in my step. Nothing makes me happier than the haters being out, the fear being prevalent again. So the University of Miami, we've all been following this, of course, for the last week since Mario Cristobal was announced and then Dan Radakovich was announced shortly thereafter as the new athletic director. The University of Miami is taking the necessary steps to become a powerhouse football program again, and the establishment is already terrified. Mario Cristobal has been Miami's head coach officially for about 6 days. Dan Radakovich has been Miami's new athletic director, the guy we stole from Clemson, who did a nice damn job there. He's been Miami's AD officially for about 4 days, and the NCAA has already reportedly launched a witch hunt. They've gone full-blown Salem, Massachusetts on Miami and on BYU as well. Why do they have to drag BYU into it as well? So Miami and BYU, these are a couple of programs. Let me set the table here and tell you what I mean about the establishment being afraid, the establishment being terrified. So you have Miami and BYU, especially Miami, but also Brigham Young University, a couple of programs that have been in the mud for the past several years, okay? And they're on their way back out of it. They're on their way back out of that quicksand. You'd better believe the fraternity of fat cat programs like the ones in the SEC, the Big Ten, Notre Dame, and Clemson, programs like that, they are shaking in their boots right now in what Miami could become. They are pressuring the crooked NCAA to bring Miami down. Guys, Miami is blessed, and this is something I'm thankful for every single day. Miami is blessed with one of the most generous and creative, innovative NIL boosters, name, image, and likeness boosters. We're talking about Dan Lambert from American Top Team. You may know him from pro wrestling fame. He's a personality on AEW as well. I don't watch it, but I watch the clips sometimes. He does an awesome job there as well. He's the founder of American Top Team. Dan Lambert from American Top Team. He has paid out endorsement deals, NIL endorsement deals to all 90 members of the University of Miami football program of $500 per month. He paid out over $500,000 this past year for these players to endorse his Academy American Top Team. Now that Cristobal is in and the program is upgrading and the athletic department is upgrading, he wants other businesses to join him and American Top Team to help double that sum of money, right? Because you have $500 a month going to these players now. They want to make it $1,000 a month for next season. BYU have a similar deal in place with Built Bar, okay? Now, first of all, I find it hard to believe that these are the only two programs in the country with similar deals to this in place. I find it very hard to believe. But reportedly, reports started surfacing this past Thursday night into Friday morning that the NCAA is probing. They are probing the University of Miami and they're probing BYU, okay? I find it hard to believe that these are the only two programs doing something like this. I would not be surprised if deals like this exist in some of the traditional powers, some of those programs I mentioned. But of course, the NCAA is turning a blind eye to that. They're looking into Miami and BYU. But more importantly, up until late last week, there was no indication whatsoever that these particular NIL deals were in any way violating the rules. There was no indication whatsoever. These deals at Miami and BYU have long been talked about, written about, reported. They were fully disclosed months ago before the college football season even started. There was not a peep about any problems with these deals when they were announced, not a peep about them at any point throughout the football season. You don't think the timing of some of these reports now, right after Miami makes their biggest head coaching hire and biggest AD hire in program history, you don't think that timing's a little bit suspicious? I think it's very suspicious. Now, here's what pisses me off the most, okay? This is why I get so angry, because I know how careful Dan Lambert and how careful the University of Miami compliance department was to get this deal in place legally and completely above board. They were so meticulous in implementing this the right way. Dan Lambert hired a lawyer named Darren Heitner to put this deal together. Heitner, who, by the way, has been a guest on 5 Reasons Sports before. He was on, I think, with the crew from The Sixth Ring when these deals were getting announced. He is the preeminent name, image, and likeness lawyer in the entire country. He's the best in America. Nobody is better or more careful in putting these things together than Darren Heitner. And, Barry Jackson wrote a great piece about this late last week. Dan Lambert noted to Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, this NIL deal was vetted and authorized by the compliance department. Of course, it was put together by Darren Heitner to make sure everything was legal and above board, and no NCAA rules were broken. They were so careful and meticulous in crafting this. Now, he was asked by Jackson if this so-called investigation, you call it an investigation, I call it a dog and pony show. I call it a circus. I call it a witch hunt. Is this because of Mario Cristobal's hiring? I love Dan Lambert. His response, abso-fucking-lutely, he said. Because of the commitment the school is making, he said, to give you a product on the field you can be excited about. People want to have something to be excited about. They want to be hopeful and they want to be excited. This does it on both levels. There are people putting in a lot of commitments that go far above anything we're doing on a name, image, and likeness. That's going to make our job so much easier. So Lambert is pissed. Heitner, the lawyer who put this together, I'm sure is extremely pissed, and I am extremely pissed as well. Now, honestly, just knowing how careful they were to put this together, my guess is, even if there is a full investigation or if they're just sniffing around, whatever it is, my guess is that nothing's going to come out of this unless the NCAA cheats their investigation the way that they did, in the latter stages of the Nevin Shapiro stuff, where they had a lawyer bringing up illegal things and acting outside the arm of the NCAA. So if they try to cheat it like that, then yeah, maybe they'll try and, really hurt Miami here. But my guess is nothing comes out of this. But if the crooked NCAA does actually try to come down on Miami for this, I hope Darren Heitner and Dan Lambert, who's got a lot of money, I hope that they sue the NCAA into oblivion. And I hope the rest of the Power Five stands with Miami and BYU as well in solidarity, even though BYU, I guess, is not technically part of the Power Five. So forget them. Miami, I hope they stand with Miami, because the bottom line, guys, the NCAA needs the Power Five a lot more than the Power Five needs the NCAA. So I don't think anything substantive is going to come out of this. I just love the fact that Miami's making big moves. Miami is striking fear into the hearts of the programs that have been at the top, choking everybody else for the last 20 years. Miami is getting back in the landscape. Now, they're not back yet. I'm not going to say the U is back, because they're not back until they win natties again, or at least compete for national championships. So I'm not saying the U is back, but the U is climbing their way back up that ladder, and it terrifies the NCAA. It terrifies the rest of the country. And I love the fear. And I love seeing the way that the fear is manifesting itself, because they are putting together Salem, Massachusetts style witch hunts right now, going after the University of Miami. MJ says, talk Canes. Well, what have I been doing for the last 13 minutes, MJ? Evening all. Andy from Scotland. Are you back home in Scotland, Andy? I know he was in Chicago on business, messaging us last week. One of our great viewers here on Donno Daily. Let's see. Miami Trev writes, I thought you were talking about the Florida Panthers NIL deal. What a waste of money that was. Well, I think that the Florida Panthers only gave money to De'Aaron King, who was actually free to go to a lot of Panthers games because he wasn't playing much football this past year. So, they weren't getting the advertisement with the guy on the field so much, but, you can't predict something like injury. No, they're not looking back into that. Oh, Andy from Scotland is in Qatar right now. You setting up for the World Cup over there, Andy? Enjoy yourself over there. All right, let's bring in our first guest of the day. I love this man. We talk Dolphins. We even occasionally talk Canes with this guy. He's in neutral colors today. He's not wearing any Canes gear like last week. Alfredo Arteaga from 3 yards per carry. Good afternoon, Alf. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, sir. How are you?
It was great. I had a wonderful weekend. No games to watch. It was fun.
Yeah, that's right. It was nice to kind of sit back, put your feet up, and just see what the rest of the league is doing. With the Miami Dolphins, who do come off the bye week now this week to take on the New York stinking Jets again. The running back room, we're in some trouble right now, Alfredo. Now, all three of these guys that are in the protocol right now, Philip Lindsay's the latest one who tested positive for COVID. We already knew Myles Gaskin and Salvon Ahmed. So that's your entire running back room, unless you bring guys up from the practice squad. They're all, for the moment, out with COVID. Since they're all vaccinated, there is a chance that some of them, or even all of them, could be cleared to play by the weekend if they can produce a couple of negative tests with, 24 hours separated. So it is possible. But if that doesn't happen, Alfredo, if we consider the worst case scenario that Lindsay, Ahmed, and Gaskin are all unable to go this week because of Omicron, who do you expect we're going to see on the field? Duke Johnson up from the practice squad, Jared Dokes. Could Lamar Miller be added to this mix? What do you think the Dolphins running back rotation could look like?
Well, I do expect at least a couple of them to be back for the game on Sunday. But let's say that they're not. If they're not, I say that, it is the New York Jets, all right? It ain't like they have a great running game anyway. I say in tribute of Mario Cristobal, let's, sign Lamar Miller and play Duke Johnson and play those two guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is Mo and Bratton available? Let's just roll out two Canes, and it would be hilarious if they roll out Lamar Miller off the street and Duke Johnson off the practice squad, and they run for like 200 yards on Sunday. That'll be something, But you know what? I think they can handle it. I do believe they're going to get one of them back. But if they don't get any of them back, I'm interested to see Jared Dokes, what he can do. And we did see Duke Johnson for one game. And that one game, he looked like he had a little giddy up. And guys that are usually fresh off the street usually can give you a boost for a game or two. So I don't think it's, you don't sound the alarm yet. But, you kind of want to see at least one of them back, right, for Sunday.
Oh, and probably so. I mean, obviously when it was announced or reported that they were all vaccinated, it seems like there's a pretty good chance. This is, we know it's not an Aaron Rodgers situation, so they just have to produce a couple of negative tests, and we still have 6 days, or about 5. When's the deadline? Because I'm sure it's before Sunday morning, right? Is it Friday, Saturday? Do you know?
Well, it's the NFL. If there is a deadline, they'll fake it, and if it is kind of close, they'll say, "Oh, he tested positive. He tested clean on Friday, on Saturday." How many times this season has somebody got into COVID protocol, and all of a sudden Sunday morning they go, "Oh, he's cleared."
Yeah.
So worst case scenario, I think that you might see one of those guys cleared up by Saturday. Although you would like to see them in the walkthrough. So realistically, you want them available by Friday, because I believe they walk through on Friday.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Alfredo Arteaga is with us here on Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. A couple of narratives on Tua Tagovailoa I want to get into with you before we dive headfirst into another Dolphins versus Jets matchup coming up here. So I've noticed there are still some reports coming out, and I was obviously very much of the mind that this would happen, right around the trade deadline. When the trade deadline came and went and nothing changed on the Deshaun Watson front, my immediate thought was, okay, at this time, of course, my mind has changed on this. My immediate thought was they're going to go back in March. Like in March, if the legal situation is settled at that point, at least to a level that Stephen Ross finds satisfactory, the Dolphins could get right back into the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. But we've had people as recently as a few days ago reporting now that the Dolphins would go back in for Watson at the end of this season. And like, Alf, hasn't the situation changed? Because Tua Tagovailoa has been playing really, really well. Now, unless he has this terrible regression to the mean over the final 4 games, which I'm not expecting, especially if you look at who the opponents are for the better part of these last 4 games. I mean, do you really think that even if Tua keeps playing the way he's played for the last 4 or 5 weeks, Miami could go back in for Watson in March?
As of right now, I would say no. But I think a lot of these reports, they strike me as, hey, don't forget about me. Don't forget about us.
Yeah.
Like, this is still out there. And I think it's going to get really loud once the season is over. But if Tua keeps playing the way he's playing, he's gonna put to rest a lot of those concerns. And like I said, and I've said it before, come March, if Deshaun Watson's completely cleared of this thing, you're going to have so many teams with expensive rosters needing a quarterback that the competition is going to be so wide that Miami's just going to say, you know what, either ponying up more picks or just sitting this one out and staying with what we got. I think probably staying with what we got is probably the better idea, because I could see 4 or 5 other teams jumping in at season's end.
And there are even some folks out there who aren't really respecting the way that Tua is playing right now. Comments that Kurt Warner made went viral midweek last week. Now, like, at least part of it, because like initially I wanted to defend Kurt, who was getting ripped to shreds by Dolphin fans, because Dolphin fans get very protective of their guys. And the funny thing about Tua is Dolphins fans will argue about Tua, but then the second an outsider says something mean about Tua, even the ones who don't like Tua will kind of defend him from the outsiders, which I find interesting. But, Warner made what was a pretty reasonable tone of comments like, hey, at some point Tua is going to have to do more. And I was initially defending him for that because I didn't think he said anything wrong. But then I realized part of what he said was he seemed to not watch a lot of Dolphins games, Alf, because he seems to think Miami has some great running game that's like carrying their offense. And he talked about how, Tua, they're not making Tua throw 35 times a game. No, they're not, Kurt. They're making him throw 40 plus per game. So I don't know if he's really paying attention. But I've also spoken to some folks that are not named Kurt Warner, who break down the NFL on a national level and don't, they don't cover the Miami Dolphins, and they're not Miami Dolphins fans. And they bring up similar things. I think they look at the fact that Tua doesn't throw a ton of deep balls, and they kind of look at the way he plays as maybe not being sustainable when you're playing the best competition week after week and you get into some shootouts. But I also feel like to make their arguments, they ignore his incredible efficiency, and they also ignore just how bad the Dolphins O-line is. But what do you think? Do you think Tua is going to need to do more, and is he capable of doing more? Like if he gets into more shootouts where he's got to throw the ball downfield more often, is that something you think he can handle?
Yes, and we've seen it. We've seen it before. You saw it last year when he outdueled Kyler Murray in Arizona. So he's capable of doing it. What these people are not realizing is that this entire win streak has been built off of two things: defense and Tua Tagovailoa absolutely carrying the entire offense.
Yeah,
all of it, including the running game, because he's calling the RPO at the line, right? Mm-hmm. So every successful run is. What's the origin of a successful run out of the RPO? Is a good read by the quarterback, and the quarterback just happens to be Tua Tagovailoa, the guy that everybody's building this narrative around. I just finished listening to an interview that Ben Bolin he covers the Patriots, and he was on with Hawk and Crowder, and as I was driving in, I just came in right now and listening to him. Yeah, and he kept saying, "Look, I haven't really watched them that much." And then you know what? I can tell, Ben, but the more I heard him talk, it seemed like he hasn't watched Mac Jones either, right? So
yeah. And he covers the Patriots, just so people know.
Yeah, and he was asked, would you take Tua Tagovailoa or Mac Jones? It was Mac Jones, and he thought it was almost an insult to debate the point. And dude, Ben Volin and anybody else that doesn't believe me, open your eyes. Go look at their stats.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, you don't want to watch Dolphin games. Okay, that's fine. That's great. You're a Patriot fan. You want to watch Patriot games. That's great. Go to Football Reference. It's free. The internet, you pay for it. Okay, you're paying whatever you pay a month. Get on the internet. Go to Football Reference and go look at the two quarterbacks. Look at their stats side by side. You tell me who's better. You tell me who's playing better. You tell me who has more support, who has a better offensive line, a better running game.
Bingo.
That's it. Okay. Tua Tagovailoa has played very, very well. Okay. If this were baseball, he'd be in the MVP conversation because he'd be carrying an entire side of a football team. And if they win out, I'll be the first one. If they win out, it's obviously that he played well, right? Mm-hmm. But if they win out, I'll be one of the first people to get online and say, look, this guy should get an MVP vote. Because they absolutely have nothing on offense. Nothing. But him and a couple of skill players. That's it.
Right. And a couple of skill players who week after week, you never know who's in and who's not, who's on IR, who's unhealthy that day, who's got a tweaked hamstring. So it's a revolving door of skill guys as well, because you never know who's going to show up on any given Sunday. And by the way, on the quarterback thing, this is a good point here by Brooklyn Rob, because personally, we don't talk about this a whole lot on the show anymore. And part of it is because I don't spend a whole lot of time watching Jacksonville Jaguars football. But when I do, I've not been overly impressed this year by the number one overall pick. And obviously I watched him in college and he's fantastic. But Brooklyn Rob writes in, answer one question. How come none of the media trashes Trevor Lawrence, who is the number one pick and is playing horrible? Now, he also is in a bad situation, and I get that. But it even goes beyond that, doesn't it, Alfredo? And I'm not saying Lawrence can't or won't be really great in this league, but I think he does deserve more scrutiny than he's getting this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's for next year. I think they're giving him a pass, just like they're giving all the other quarterbacks this year a pass. I just finished watching Justin Fields. And look, and by the way, I do think that Justin Fields is going to be a good quarterback. But I just finished watching him play kind of mediocre against the Green Bay Packers. And Chris Collinsworth was just throwing bouquet after bouquet at his feet. And I kept thinking to myself, maybe I'm not watching this game correctly. Maybe there's something wrong with me. You know what I mean? But he was kind of bad. He was bad in that game against the Packers. They were in that game because Jakeem Grant actually had a punt return touchdown and he had a 46-yard run for a touchdown. All right. That's why they were in that game. Also, and they also had a couple of turnovers on their end, which they converted into points.
Yep.
So Justin Fields was in that game not because of Justin Fields. He was in that game because of Jakeem Grant, actually.
Right.
So, but they were throwing him bouquet. So I guess this draft class is going to be watched with different eyes than last year's draft class. Last year's draft class is being judged by the Justin Herbert standard and by the Joe Burrow standard. And, Joe Burrow, just finished losing, but he played very well against the San Francisco 49ers. Herbert won in a blowout, and he looked magnificent Okay. So they're just judging him by that standard, and Tua doesn't fit their mold of what a good quarterback, quote unquote, a good quarterback looks like. But they're gonna learn to appreciate him soon when they see that the wins just keep piling up and the efficiency keeps rolling forward.
Yeah, like people who watch the show week after week, and Alfredo knows it because he's on with me every Monday. I've never been a full on Tua hater, but I have been a Tua skeptic, and I think the reason why I've been a Tua skeptic in the past is I'm a lifelong Miami Dolphins fan, so I've been punished a lot since Dan Marino. Like I've seen it so many times. You try to sell to me, oh, here's Chad Henne, he's the next great quarterback, and even going back to AJ Feely, oh my God, this is the next great guy, and Ryan Tannehill. Like I've been down this road so many different times that it really takes a lot to convince me a quarterback has it. Now, still, I guess, to a certain extent, I'm still like, I'm not proclaiming Tua to be a savior or a franchise quarterback, but I've been a Tua skeptic. I'm now kind of coming from I'm a converted Tua skeptic because I'm really starting to believe in this guy now. And for those who are actually watching these games, even if you're like me and 6 weeks ago, you were, really down on Tua, unless you're either not watching the games or you're watching the games with a terrible agenda of trying to pick apart everything this guy does. If you're actually watching games objectively, I don't know how these people aren't coming around. So it's either they're not watching or they have an agenda and reasons just to want to tear this kid down. And I think, Alf, a big part of it is a lot of people in the media, they just never want to admit they're wrong, right? When they dig themselves into a trench, and if the trench they dug themselves into a couple of months ago, when Tua was out injured and Jacoby Brissett was playing, and then you've got all this trade deadline stuff, if they dug themselves into this trench where they're saying Tua's not going to be a Dolphin beyond this year, the guy's never going to be more than like a backup quarterback somewhere else, this guy doesn't have it, people do not like to admit that they're wrong, especially in this profession. Like, I mean, listen, every now and then I'll admit when I'm wrong about something. I don't know if that makes people respect me more or respect me less. I think it depends on the person. But there seems to be this attitude in the media that if you change your mind about something or you admit that you're wrong, people won't respect you. I don't know if that's true or not, Alf, but I think that's happening a lot with Tua.
I think it's I completely agree with you, and I think it's the opposite. When I see one of these guys that just entrench themselves and double down on their bad takes, I tend to think that they're just kind of stupid, right? Like, like you watch some of these guys, like you watch Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn Johnson's never watched Tua Tagovailoa play,
No.
and if he has watched them play, then I don't know what the hell he's watching, because he gets up there and he's flat out insulting the guy, saying, that he's going to be maybe out. And these are actual quotes from him. He says, maybe out of the league in 3 years, which by my guess is, okay, that's the end of his rookie contract. And then nobody in the league wants him anymore. And then he says, oh, he'll be a backup in 2 years. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, open your eyes and watch what you're watching. Okay. Watch the games. Then you have other people like Dan Orlovsky, who has an opinion and does a complete 180, and he says, I've done the 180 because I've watched him play, and he's playing magnificently, which he is, okay? He's playing very, very well. Now, is he all league? Is he elite? No. Is he top 10? No. But is he absolutely getting there? Yeah, this is what it kind of looks like, okay? This is what it looks like when a young quarterback keeps getting better and eventually turns into a Russell Wilson or maybe even a Drew Brees. So, yeah, it's some of these takes, they're done for effect, and just get it on record. Just get the take on record. I'd rather you just say that you're wrong, and that's it. Look, I was wrong about Justin Herbert. I thought Justin Herbert was the third best quarterback coming out that year.
Yeah, same
okay.
Here.
I had Tua, and I had Burrow, and I had Herbert third. Herbert's absolutely proved me wrong. Guy's a superstar. He's gonna be a star, and he's a star already.
And by the way, I'm glad you can say that, because I've said that as well. Because listen, I know that there are some people out there who are such Tua stans that they don't even want to admit that Justin Herbert is good. Justin Herbert is really good, okay?
Yes.
And even though I'm coming around on Tua and I really like Tua now, I still think the Dolphins got the wrong guy. And I know we could argue all day about, who has more help in this, that, and the other guy. I still think Herbert is the better pro, but that doesn't mean that I can't also appreciate what Tua is doing.
Yeah, and they all have their faults, right?
Yeah.
Like, Tua tends to disappear for a couple of quarters inside of games.
Yeah.
And is all world in the fourth quarter. Herbert is essentially a bad quarterback in the fourth quarter. I'm not making it up. His numbers are there. The sample size is almost two seasons worth. He doesn't play very well in the fourth quarter. But is that a factor of maybe his offensive line is not playing all that great in the fourth quarter? Maybe he's trying to do other things. Maybe it's coaching. We know he had bad coaching last year. I think he has bad coaching again this year because Brandon Staley's an idiot. So, but you look at them and it's kind of obvious to me. Yeah, Herbert's the best in the class. I think the conversation really is between Burrow and Tua right now. I think Tua can still salvage being better than Joe Burrow as of right now. Now, for the long run, maybe it's entirely possible. And I've told people this. It's entirely possible 15 years from now, we're looking back at it and say, oh, wow, look at this. All three guys are in the Hall of Fame. So end of story. Who cares? Who cares which one was better? It's arguing Marino, Montana. And I remember people arguing Marino, Montana for 1,000 years.
Yep.
And everybody was on their side of the fence.
Oh man,
throwing rocks at the other and would not move.
Dude, it's so funny you say that because obviously, I've been in and I'm still a little bit into sports talk radio, AM radio, and of course I'm a junkie from it. Like going back to the time I was in middle school, early high school when I started listening to WQAM, and like back in the old days, if you were Hank Goldberg and whoever was on QAM, if you just wanted to kind of go coast through an easy show, all you had to do was just bring up Marino, Montana, and just take 1,000 phone calls, and you're done for the day. Like you could spark up that was like a cheat code. You could spark up that debate on a talk show in Miami, and I'm sure anywhere in the country, and of course in San Francisco, and just let people run with it. But Alfredo, I can't thank you enough for the time as always, my friend. By the way, 3 yards per carry. When are we dropping it this week?
Wednesday we get back to our normal schedule. It'll be 2 a week until season's end, which hopefully it's sometime in February.
Yes, I hope so as well. And, I shouldn't even have to say this to our viewers, but I'd imagine you guys probably know by now, 3 yards per carry. It is the ultimate podcast for Miami Dolphins fans. Even if you're not a Dolphin fan per se and you're interested in the NFL, you want to hear a couple of three smart blokes talking about things from a Dolphins perspective, 3 yards per carry is the way to go. Alfredo, thank you so much, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you for having me, and go Canes.
Go Canes. I love it. All right, we're going to talk some sports betting in a moment. I want to remind you guys, hold on, let me, I don't know, Manny always ditches me mid-show these days. Do I need to bring Sean Stanley back? I don't know what Manny's doing to me. So hold on. I have it ready this week. TheDailyStakes.com. Guys, The Daily Stakes. We are so proud to be partnered with these guys. Speaking of smart blokes, these are some of the smartest blokes that I know, our friends from the Daily Stakes. They help us make money, which is very important, right? It's like you got your 401k, you got your stockbroker, then you've got the guys from the dailystakes.com. They empower you by providing you the same analytics that are used by both the sharps and the sports books. That's something that I cannot give you, and the Daily Stakes can. Daily Stakes founders, we're going to be talking with Nick in a moment, his partner Dylan as well. They are awesome. They're massive sports fans, of course. They come from professional backgrounds in financial modeling, corporate consulting, and data analytics. In other words, they understand all aspects of the sports betting industry inside and out, from the eye test to the analytics, to the trends, and how to harness this knowledge to give you the edge that you need to win your bets. They offer comprehensive coverage on their website of all the major sports leagues, including the NFL, which of course we love, the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, and the UFC, which I love, and I know a lot of you guys do as well. Their track record is proven and transparent. You can track all of their picks, so you know they're not blowing you full of hot air. Like the Daily Stakes, you can track everything that they pick. And if you become a member of their site, I highly suggest it, and I'll explain why. You really have nothing to lose. Members of their site unlock exclusive perks like weekly giveaways and contests. And when you become a member, you can start off by unlocking a 7-day all sports trial for just 99 cents. So you're talking about $1. You unlock and harness the power of their entire website and all of their picks for 7 days. So you really have nothing to lose here, unless, you're pinching every last dollar so tightly. You really have nothing to lose. And then after that trial is over, you can either stick with one sports league of your choice, because I know some of you, maybe you're only interested in betting the NBA or only in the NFL. You can unlock the sport of your choice, like the NBA or the National Football League, for just $14.99 a month, or the best deal of them all. And I think this is the best deal in this industry because I've seen and heard a lot of the other so-called deals out there that do not compare to this one. You can unlock the all sports plan for just $29.99 per month. Because I hear a lot of people say, because some of these other sites where you become a member, they charge you so much that people are like, oh, I'm just, I'm just like, I bet $20, $30 here and there. It's not really worth it to get this expensive package. The Daily Stakes is completely different. Just for $30 a month, you unlock their entire site. So even if you're a very casual sports bettor, you can get a lot out of this. So play smarter, bet smarter with the Daily Stakes. Sign up today at thedailystakes.com. All right, so let's talk about a couple of important games tonight. Nick from the Daily Stakes is with us. Nick, how are things north of the border, my friend?
The weather is beautiful, actually.
It is. I love it.
The snow has melted. It's back to sweater weather for the time being. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I love it. I was a little bit disappointed because I was, it's still Florida, but I was up in Orlando for a couple of days with my family, and like Orlando's like 3 hours north of where I live, so it gets a little bit cold. And it was supposed to be cool this weekend, and then because it's Florida, the weather forecast changed. It was supposed to be sweater weather, and then it was just like sweating your ass off weather. So I did not get some of the cool weather that I wanted. At some point, I'll get up there to Montreal because it seems beautiful. I've only been to Western Canada before, so this is probably at least when it's not completely cold outside, it's probably a nice place to be right now.
Oh, definitely. Over the summer, it's the place to be. In the winter, I'd advise you stay in Florida and don't venture over here. But the driveway, my driveway still has a bunch of ice on it. So just I'll send you a picture if you want after. Just see how much ice there is. Crazy.
Yeah, I'd love to see it because I don't know. I've only seen snow on vacation. Like I don't know how to like shovel snow or like get the ice off the wind. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So hopefully I never have to know what that is like. But let's talk about a couple of the games tonight. Now, you are the NBA specialist at thedailystakes.com, and I'm very curious to your thoughts on the Miami Heat at Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. Now, as it's been in recent games, the injury/COVID list for the Heat is very hefty, right? Victor Oladipo is still out. They have not taken him out of cryo sleep yet this season. Markieff Morris is still out from the shot that he took after the play from Jokic like a month ago at this point. Adebayo is out, thumb surgery. Jimmy Butler is still out with a tailbone. Caleb Martin, who'd been playing really, really well in recent weeks, he's out on the COVID list. So the Heat are shorthanded tonight in Cleveland against a pretty good Cavs team. The Cavaliers are 5.5-point favorites at home, and the over-under is 208. Do you have any thoughts on those lines? And do you have any player props tonight? Because the Daily Stakes crew, you guys are really good with that.
Yeah. So I kind of knew this game was coming up. I know we always cover the Heat game. Funny enough, every time I release a Heat play or I speak about it, it always ends up going the opposite way.
So we'll fade your picks then.
It's crazy, man. It's the Donno effect, I guess, but I'm just playing.
The mush effect. It's alive and well.
But I mean, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think I said it last week and I say it on our podcast every week. These guys are my favorite teams to bet on in the NBA at the moment.
That's right.
They're the best team against the spread. They're covering on an 80% clip rate, which means against the spread, they're hitting 80%. And over the last 9 games, they covered the spread over the last 9 games. So if you bet $50 consistently, it kept doubling down. I actually did the math earlier. You'd be up close to maybe $20,000 if you started with a $50 bet, the unit size, and then you took the winnings, you doubled that, and then you kind of bet on the spread again. It's unbelievable what they're doing. But the difference here in tonight's matchup is that the books have finally adjusted their lines to the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is, I think, one of the second or third games in the recent weeks that they're coming as favorites, and that's because just given the injury report with the Miami Heat. Now, the last time these two teams played against each other, I believe the Cavaliers won 111-85 in South Beach, and Butler and Adebayo were out. Then in this case, we have Caleb Martin. You got Oladipo still out, so there's a little more injuries. Markieff Morris is out as well, and the Cavaliers guys are. I don't know what to say. They're just so big in front of the net that they're giving up only 102 points per game. They have 8 players averaging over 11 points per game, and the rookie Evan Mobley. I mean, this guy is just playing on next levels. With that, I do believe that the Cleveland Cavaliers will cover the -5.5 spread. It's a very minimal spread, just given how dominant they've been. I mean, they've been covering spreads at a +7 differential, so you're getting +1.5 at the moment.
Oh man,
from their average. But the thing is, a lot of the public is betting very heavily on the Cavaliers tonight, so I would be worrisome on that because there's 99% of the money on the money line backing the Cavaliers, and there's 79% of the money backing the Cavaliers on the spread. In cases like that, what I've seen in the past is that teams that have that much money on the spread on the money line tend to lose or tend to not cover the spread in the last maybe fourth quarter. Just I don't know what happens. I think it's an effect by Vegas, but essentially, I'd be wary some. So I would either buy some points at halftime or buy some points on the spread just to be careful for that -5.5. But if I leave you with one note, 2 player props, Darius Garland, take his over on his points. He's been playing fantastic ever since Colin Sexton went out. And then you got Jared Allen. I have this guy on my fantasy team. I would suggest taking him on the over on points too. There's just nobody that could cover him on the Miami Heat at the moment. I mean, Dwayne Dedmon, he's playing fantastic. He's just too old to cover Jared Allen right now. So Jared Allen, take the over and on his player points, and get Darius Garland on the over on his player points as well. And the Cavaliers -5.5.
I like that a lot, especially like the insight about where the money is going, because this is the sort of stuff. It's why we love when people like Nick and Dylan and Massimo come on, because this is the sort of data that that the sharps are getting, and I want our viewers to get as well. And as far as because you had even told us last week as well, about how you've been doing really, really well, and the Cavs have been doing very, very well covering spreads every week, and Vegas hasn't really caught up to it yet. Is that just because it's Cleveland? Because they've been so irrelevant since LeBron left. The second time they were irrelevant when he left the first time. Is it like, does it just kind of take the betting public a while to realize, wait, the Cavaliers are not a joke right now the way that they've been, for the last several years?
Yeah, it's literally just because it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. If you look at their roster, they have no superstars. I mean, you still have the Lakers that are getting favored -5.5, -7, -9.
That's a good point.
Just because LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Westbrook are on that team. I mean, don't get me wrong, Lakers are great. I do think they're going to kind of squeeze into the playoffs, but they're just getting so much respect by the books, just given their roster at the moment. And the Cavaliers have been playing tremendously better than the Lakers. If it's not for LeBron James, the Lakers are not winning any games. Let's be honest. He's 36 years old, and I think he's put up at least 30 points over the last 8 games. It's absolutely incredible.
No, that's great insight. Let's shift over to football as we're joined here by Nick from the dailystakes.com. It's a pretty good Monday night game tonight. The Arizona Cardinals at home against the Rams. Arizona 2.5-point favorites. The over-under is 51 for this game. What do you guys like here?
I had a conversation with Dylan before jumping on. Dylan is the biggest LA Rams fan I know.
Nice.
He loves it. He has the jersey. I talk shit to him all the time about it. Just tell him the Rams are, when they struggle, you always got to nudge a bit.
Of course.
In this case, it's a massive divisional game between Cardinals and the Rams. Whoever kind of wins this game is going to be put in the front runner and is going to kind of show up. The last time these two teams played against each other, the Cardinals won 37-20. And over the course of November, you had Colin Murray and DeAndre Hopkins kind of out for the whole month. And they still managed to put up points and actually win games. And that's kind of impressive on their end. On the other hand, we have Matthew Stafford, who ever since he joined the Rams has not been able to prove himself as a 13-win game, a game-winning quarterback, I would say. He struggled in big-time plays. So this game tonight is really pivotal for his career, I guess, as a starting quarterback for the Rams, whether or not he's in that conversation kind of for MVP or not. So it's going to be a good matchup between the two quarterbacks. And I just kind of want to break down the numbers quickly.
Sure.
You mentioned at the beginning that the spread currently sits at -2.5 plus 2.5. -2.5 favor the Cardinals. It actually opened up a -1. And so the public was kind of all over the Cardinals. They are 67% of the money on the Cardinals and 68% of the spread bets are on the Cardinals at the moment. So the public is kind of favoring the Cardinals in this match, just given the recency bias on the last game and how with the return of DeAndre Hopkins and Colin Murray tonight. And so our play on the game actually is Personally, I put the Rams money line as part of a parlay that I had trending over the weekend. It's actually my last leg for it to hit. So
Oh, nice. Good
So
luck
I'm
then,
going
man.
to be
I've
sweating
been
that out
there.
on the money line. But in terms of an actual the listener, we have one on the total points and one on a player prop.
Okay.
So it's the over is actually 11-1 in the last 12 games when the Rams played and they're considered underdogs. So right now the Rams are minus plus 2.5 underdogs, and they've hit this over 11 out of 12 games. So whoever's kind of betting on this game, Monday Night Football, both quarterbacks are going to come out and show up, lean towards the over, even though it moved 3 points from the 48 to the 51. I would suggest maybe taking the over on this game as well. And then from a player props perspective, we're taking Kyler Murray over 0.5 rushing touchdowns.
I like that.
And that's just given his speed and the fact that he has no choice but to move in the pocket. He's going up against Von Miller and Aaron Donald, and these guys are going to hunt him down and try to sack him. But he's so quick that if they're in the red zone, rather than passing the ball, we see him kind of running in and getting a touchdown on his own.
I like these a lot. I'm going to lock these in. He's Nick from thedailystakes.com. I talked a little bit about it, but let people know what they can find at thedailystakes.com, because I want to make sure that our viewers know that you guys are available and that there are a lot more of these player props and a lot more of these analytic-based leans out there you guys can find.
Yeah, so we give you access to the four major sports in the U.S., the MLB, the NHL, the NFL, and the NBA, along with the UFC when those big UFC cards are out. We're actually working on something right now that's going to be very heavily focused on analytics and player props that I think a lot of our current customers and our future customers are going to absolutely love. And I think, Donno, you're going to love it as well. It's in the process of getting the work. So we give you everything that you need to make a more informed sports betting decision, whether it's on the game type, so money line, spread, or over-under, and on player props. So you do less research on your own. We give you everything, and you go ahead and start cashing in some bets.
Well, there's one thing I hate doing, it's research of any kind. So I'll let you guys take care of that for me. Nick, thank you so much. Have a great week. And also let people know when the next podcast drops.
Podcast releasing Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, where we cover kind of what happens in the NFL, our best bets for week 15 or the week that's coming. And then I kind of break down what happened in the NBA and the player props we should look at in the NBA that you kind of bet on these guys for the next 7 calendar days, I would say.
Awesome. I love it. Everyone check out thedailystakes.com. Nick, thank you so much. Have a great week.
You as well. Thank you, Alex.
Awesome stuff, man. And I say it time and time again, I love the player props because I find that a lot of that requires the most research because you really have to go in depth for the player props. Because my thing is, when I start looking at the available props, at BetUS.com, I fall in love with all the overs, unless it's like a team I really hate. I just want to bet all the unders, but I don't know. I feel like I go way too much by feel on that. So to have the analytics to back it up from the daily stakes, I find it to be incredibly valuable. And listen, man, and I would advise anyone, if you just tuned into the latter part of the episode, because I know that the title of this episode is Miami Hurricanes related, go back and watch the entire thing. Right. And of course, if you missed any of the picks from Nick in the Daily Stakes, if you missed any of Alfredo's insight on the Miami Dolphins, you want to check all that out. But if you're looking for me, ranting and raving about another NCAA witch hunt against Miami, you want to watch the episode in its entirety. I've made sure I've decked myself completely out in Miami Hurricanes gear today. I'm completely in on it. I'm really proud of the Miami Heat. We were very, very close. We had the itchy trigger finger in one of the episodes midweek last week on hitting the panic button because they had, for a stretch, they'd looked really bad without Bam and without Jimmy. And then they went out and they beat the Milwaukee Bucks and they beat the Chicago Bulls. Now, the Bulls game probably should have never been played because of the COVID situation. I don't know. You've got such strict protocols in the NBA. You had the Bulls decimated by COVID. We've seen for the Heat, Caleb Martin on the COVID list, who is vaccinated, of course. But if you're going to have these strict protocols, either don't play the game. That game should have never been played, or, allow players without symptoms to play. Like, it's got to be one thing or the other. Like, if you're going to have these strict protocols and guys are going to be inevitably spreading it to one another when they play games, you've got this many COVID cases. It's just, I think the NBA needs to do a much, much better job with the way that they're handling this. But coming off these last 2 victories, I'm really proud of the Miami Heat, and I think they're going to be all right. Like, I think they're going to get through this stretch without Jimmy and Bam, especially Bam, because Bam's going to be out a lot longer than Jimmy. It's going to be, another 3-4 weeks that we don't see Adebayo. If the Heat can that stretch, I think. Oh, am I back? Jiggle the microphone cable. This thing is really sensitive. I think I'm back. Hopefully you guys can hear me. But no, I think the Heat are going to be fine. They're showing a ton of toughness and a ton of mettle here in these games that Jimmy and Bam haven't played in. David writes in, the NBA will probably pause games after the Christmas Day ratings. Something like that would not surprise me. Like, after you get through the Christmas Day games, which is, it's a big part of the NBA slate. Those games are a ratings monster. If then maybe they pause the season for a couple of weeks after that, would not shock. I'm not reporting anything here, but it would not shock me if something like that happened. It would not shock me whatsoever. Guys, I want to remind you of a couple things before we do the roll call here. I want to make sure I shout out everybody in the chat who's not been shouted out already. Again, I apologize. A few times during this episode, I've had to cough. Sometimes I'm able to mute myself in time. Sometimes I'm not. Getting over a cold, a little under the weather. If anybody watched the episode of 5 Rounds that I did Thursday night last week, I had like this much voice, like no voice whatsoever. I'm highly medicated and I'm getting through it. I don't have COVID, by the way. I was not exposed to Caleb Martin or any of the Chicago Bulls. I've just got some of my son's daycare germs that have been weighing heavily on me for like almost a week, man. I've had this cold for like 7, maybe even 8 days by now. It is what it is. I want to remind you guys that the newest member of the Donno Daily family is BlockFi. We are a proud BlockFi affiliate. I love crypto. I've had so much fun learning about and investing in crypto for roughly the past year. I think almost a year to the day. I started getting into crypto this past December. It's really changed my entire life. You learn about it, you invest in it, you learn dollar cost averaging, when to buy. I don't sell very often, but when to buy, when to sell, all that. Guys, BlockFi. BlockFi is a titan of the crypto space. Those who are already active in cryptocurrency or those who are looking to get started, BlockFi can set you up with ease. You can open an interest account with your crypto and earn 8% APY. That is called passive income, my friends. And you can also apply for the BlockFi Rewards Visa Signature Credit Card and earn unlimited 1.5% back in Bitcoin. So let's stack those sats together. So we make it really easy to sign up. If you want to get in and open an interest account and apply for the BlockFi credit card, you can sign up using our referral link down below. If you check the description for this episode, Manny Chang always includes our referral link at BlockFi. Sign up with our referral link that's included in the show description down below this episode, and they will get you all set up at BlockFi.com, and you can earn 8% APY in your crypto, and you can also apply for the awesome BlockFi Visa Rewards Signature Credit Card. It is so, so good, my friends. And of course, make sure you guys are supporting the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill, the official sports bar of Donno Daily. And I'll see you guys at the Quarterdeck in a couple of days. So we're going to be out at the Quarterdeck Davy on Wednesday night watching Miami Heat basketball, enjoying the delicious food. I love the buffalo shrimp. I love the fresh mahi-mahi. I love to build my own poke bowl. That's what I had the last time I was at the Quarterdeck about a week and a half ago. I built my own poke bowl, fresh tuna, rice, avocado. So good. The spicy ponzu sauce. We're going to be having a watch party at the Davie location on Wednesday night. And we're also going to have our friends from ASX Sports out there. Attendees can win up to $250. How about that? So not only do you show up and watch the games with us at the beautiful Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill location in Davie, you could also leave there $250 richer, courtesy of ASX Sports. This is the awesomest thing going on, my friends. Meet us out there at the Quarterdeck on Wednesday night. If you want to check out the Quarterdeck today or tomorrow before you see us out at the Davie location on Wednesday, visit their website, quarterdeckrestaurants.com. You're going to be able to check out their menu online, and you also can find the location nearest to you. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. So we have all your hookups, right? From BlockFi to the Daily Stakes, BetUS.com. We have a hookup there as well. America's favorite sports book. Guys, you can sign up today at BetUS.com. There's still plenty of NFL games left to bet. Bowl season is coming up, NBA games, UFC fights. You could be making so much money and having so much fun with us at BetUS.com. This is America's favorite sports book. Customer satisfaction guaranteed, my friends. The official sports book of Donno Daily. It is available in Florida. People ask me that all the time. You can use BetUS in Florida. I'm on BetUS.com every single day. We give you a code that's going to unlock the best bonus in the industry. You sign up at BetUS with our code 5RSN125, and they're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus. So if you deposit, for example, $100 with our code 5RSN125, they're going to give you $125 on top of your deposit in free play money. Oh, my God, I'm dying. How good is that? $125 in free play money on top of your $100 deposit. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. I'm going to need to sip some chamomile tea or something, get some Ricola lozenges after this one. Man, the voice is going here. Want to throw some shout outs. David, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. Ronald Luch, thank you. Go Canes. Go Canes indeed. Down with the NCAA, up with Miami. Guys, we're going to be throughout the week covering the frenzy that is early National Signing Day. My guy Mario Cristobal is out there trying to salvage a class that was barely existent from the previous coaching regime. I give the previous regime credit. They killed it in 2021. 2022, you were looking at just 8 guys. So Cristobal is out there trying to work some miracles here at the final hour and get some extra players in there and also keep the recruits Miami has. I think National Signing Day, the early version of it on Wednesday, is going to be really exciting and really fun. We're going to be covering that heavily throughout the week, okay? Cliff Esmiol, my guy, thank you so much for tuning in. And wow, if you're calling me a legend, I'm honored. Maybe he was referring to Alfredo Arteaga or Nick from the Daily Stakes as a legend, but do what Cliff says. Hit the like button, smash the like button for this episode, hit the thumbs up. It really helps us out because the more likes we get, the more people are going to be able to watch this video, because the way the YouTube algorithm works is more people like the video, the more other people the video will turn up in suggested viewing, right? Because if people are out there watching videos about the Hurricanes, the Dolphins, the Heat, maybe they haven't discovered Donno Daily or they haven't discovered 5 Reasons Sports yet. If our video gets a ton of likes, it's going to show up in their suggested videos to watch. So help us out there. The more people that like it, the more people will watch it. Do us a solid, smash the like button, and make sure you subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports YouTube, because there's a ton of content here, my friends. Whether you're into the Canes, the Dolphins, the Heat, the Panthers. I have been barred from talking Panthers because I'm such a mush. Right? I've already, I've ruined the Dolphins. I ruined the Canes. I haven't really ruined the Dolphins. They could actually still pull a miracle and make the playoffs. But I have had some of our local teams against the ropes with my mushing powers. So I have been highly suggested not to talk Florida Panthers much on this show, so I don't mush them. I talk about them from time to time. I try to refrain because I want them to win a Stanley Cup. Okay. Thank you to Brooklyn Rob for tuning in. Thanks to our guy Massimo for tuning in, who's up in Montreal. He says, great steaks, but awful steak spice. So you don't like the Montreal seasoning? I use that. I don't use it every time, but I sprinkle some of that on there from time to time. Maybe like the authentic version actually up there in Montreal is a little bit different than the ones that they package and sell down here at Publix. I don't know, but I don't mind it. Let's see who else. Richard Cartwright, thank you so much. Tua is Tua and not Dan Marino. I've seen every Finns quarterback from Greasy to the present, and my opinion, he is right behind Marino and Greasy. That's very possible. I think if he's not there already, he could end up there, right? I mean, outside of one great season from Chad Pennington and a few hints here and there from Ryan Tannehill. There's not a whole lot to write home about in the last 20 years. So Tua is getting up there for sure. Big Dan 305. Love this guy. Big Dan 305 is like an evangelist because he not only does he watch and comment, he recruits other people to watch the show and comment. We love Big Dan 305. Thank you so much for tuning in seemingly every day. And even if he misses an episode, he feels very guilty about it. So we thank him. Zachary B, another frequent. He's clowning Chris Sims, another Tua hater out there, and his father, Phil Sims. A couple of losers, both of them. Gumby, thank you so much for tuning in and watching Donno Daily today. We really appreciate it. Andy from Scotland, turning up big. He's in Qatar on business. Enjoy the World Cup preparations if that's what you're doing out there. I have no idea what he does for a living. I know he travels a lot, so he's in Qatar right now. Miami Trev, too. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, when we were talking about name, image, and likeness controversy, it was not the Florida Panthers deal. It was the witch hunt that is apparently going on with the American Top Team deal. MJ, thank you so much. By the way, if you can, be like Vishnu. Vishnu, thank you so much for the super chat donation. If you guys are able to slide something into the tip jar, we pass that along to Manny Chang. Yeah, he's got a child to feed. So if you guys can give us any love on the super chat with a donation, no matter how big or how small, it helps us run this channel, and it also I pass my share to the producers of the show, so I try and be generous with that when I can. Maybe I'll become Mr. Scrooge and take it back during the holiday season, but we pass that along to Manny. Nicholas, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you joining the show today. And if anybody I missed, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Donno Daily. Oh, Andy from Scotland. It's midnight there in Qatar. Oh, go get some sleep, man. He might still be on the schedule of the last place he was because he was in Chicago last week. Now he's in Qatar. So get some sleep, sir. All right, guys. Huge shout out to everybody who tuned in. We're going to be back tomorrow, same time, same channel. I'm sure we'll talk about whatever happens in Heat Cavaliers tonight. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about the University of Miami as we get closer and closer to Wednesday's early National Signing Day. So we will talk to you guys again tomorrow. And Brady Hawk always joins us on Tuesdays to recap the Heat games. We'll talk some Heat with Brady Hawk. Maybe we'll have a Canes guy on tomorrow as well. We will talk to you tomorrow on another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ciao.